So my name's Marcos Valdez, born and raised in northern New Mexico. Grew up on a small farm, ranch, being coached by my father, of course, educator, very involved in acequias. It's a big thing up here in northern New Mexico. And as a child, I was always tagging along those acequia meetings and being involved, asking questions, tending to the livestock, and really giving me a feeling of importance with connecting to the land, especially in acequias. At a young age, I got connected with the acequias, asking a lot of questions, being involved. I used to attend annual meetings with my dad, and that really gave me the connection I needed to move forward in my life and find out how that could really open up a door for me in my life. In high school, I had to give a presentation about, of course, my future, and I wrote an essay and had to present it at my high school graduation, and believe it or not, my topic was acequias and infrastructure. So I gave this speech, and basically that's what I said. I want to help my community with acequia infrastructure. I didn't know what I was going to do or how I was going to get there, but that was my goal, was to help our communities with acequia infrastructure. A couple years down the line, I attended a meeting, and there was a supervisor from the Eastern Arriba Soil&Water Conservation District at a meeting I attended. And he talked about all these great things on how their organization helped acequias with infrastructure, financial assistance, and my mind just blew. And I had to talk to him before I left that day. His name's Kenny Salazar, and I said, Mr. Salazar, how can I be involved with your organization? So of course we talked about it, and at the time he led me to the NRCS, Natural Resource Conservation Service. And at that moment, I became a Earth Team volunteer. And I mean, I just loved it. We would do field surveys. I was very engaged. And sooner or later, the opportunities opened up, and I was able to get a job with the Soil&Water Conservation District as a technical service. I've been with the Soil&Water Conservation District now for 10 years. And I learned that meeting with landowners, producers, they have so much knowledge themselves, and you learn a lot from them, but you also gain this knowledge working with the natural resource field that I'm in, with our partners, our agency partners, and to be able to cross that information upon, whether it's taking it to the agency or taking it to the landowner, it just gives you some gratification of being able to help the landowner. There's occasions where a landowner calls and asks for a type of noxious weed that's growing in their pasture, and believe it or not, if you can find that noxious weed and tell them how to eradicate it, I mean, the look on their face is priceless. And that's the gratitude, that's the motivation that drives me, because I want to be able to treat, to satisfy all our landowners that way, to be able to answer their questions and to improve their pastures, improve their irrigation systems. It's just an honor to really do what I do, because it's a very gratifying job. Another part that really drives me is that when I was young, I always had an interest in mapping. I was always trying to find aerial photos, and I just found that interest. And when I worked with the district, we were looking for a youth program, and we came up with this idea of mapping acequias. And with my interest and my knowledge of GIS, we were able to get the youth together and map out acequias within our district. And this is so helpful in so many different ways, because not only are you helping acequias by getting this information, but you're you're engaging youth, you're encouraging them to use modern technology to document such an important resource and tradition that we have here in northern New Mexico. And that's been a big drive for me, because to see the youth come in, not know a thing about acequias or mapping, and to leave us and become employees with the state engineer or state forestry, and take that expertise with them, is very gratifying. And that's what really moves me to continue to apply for these funds and to try to get the youth involved as much as possible. So that's one thing I would continue to do, working with the district, because that connection is so important. You know, I think I was raised really different than a lot of kids my age when I was 17, because I had a father that pushed me very hard and said, you need to do something. So he was always motivating me to become somebody and to apply myself. I guess that's one thing I would try to encourage a 17-year-old to do, is to apply themselves and don't waste any time, because there's a lot out there, and it just takes motivation, and it takes, you know, somebody to encourage you, to push you to kind of do what you want to do. I mean, I look at myself right now, and I don't think I would change a thing. I think everything just worked out perfect. I love what I do, and I gotta thank my dad for that, because he really pushed me to go for it. Well, I honestly think we need to encourage the youth and motivate them and involve them. And I'm going to take it back to our youth conservation mapping program. It's really getting them involved and showing them our resources and the issues we're facing, but giving them the opportunity to provide input and ask them questions and see what they would change or improve the system, and really push them to make decisions. Okay, so another opportunity would be through even private landowners to involve students or youth to identify resources on their land, whether it be to ID invasive species or to document the soil type. And it's really sparking that interest, because what I've learned is that youth, they're really tied to technology nowadays. And if they could use that technology and apply it on the ground in the field, we really have something there. And I think that's a way we can move forward in the future and really get them engaged and participate. We got to remember that the land provides a lot to us, and we got to take care of it. It's just not something that's going to give and give and give. We got to do our part. I tell myself this all the time. There's all these chores to do outside, right? Back home, we always have to take care of the land, and it's just that motivation. You just got to have that motivation to go and do it, because you got to think of the results. There's a reason why you're doing it, and you actually got to think about conserving the land and passing it on down the line. And if we wouldn't take care of it, then that's not going to happen. And that's what my personal motivation is, and that's what I'm driven to do. And I hope y'all can join me.